video is going to show you how to clean and fill a Rapidiograph pen. So the Rapidiograph pens actually are by Koh-I-noor, which I think hopefully you can see on this here. And this actually also works with their sketch pens, the Rapidiosketch pens, which actually I think are a little bit better for art. These are more for technical drawing, but both work pretty well. So to start by cleaning your pen, this is assuming that your pen is already full of ink and it's dried out or ran out. I'm going to take off both the cap, put that aside, don't let that go down your sink, and also the barrel of the pen. And that leaves me with basically the inner portions of the pen. Next, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to remove this little cap that's usually a different color depending on the size of the pen, and it reveals the inkwell underneath, which is pretty dried out. I don't know if you can see that. And so now I've got the base of the pen. So the next thing I want to do, and you notice that I'm working over the sink. This is really important. Don't do this over your art table or anywhere else that could stain. Is I'm going to remove the bottom of the ink from the pen. And I'm going to start by just running this under some water, because it's going to be messy, as you see. Okay. And it gets all over the place, so you got to be careful. So just kind of rinse that out. So now you should have a mostly clean ink cartridge. And go ahead and set that aside. Now for the second part of the pen, I'm going to go ahead and rinse this out too, just so that my hands aren't going to get all inky. But there's actually another part we could pull apart and clean with this pen. As you see, I'm kind of shaking it back and forth because there are pieces in there that move. Okay. With a lot of your pens, though, there's actually two pieces to this pen here. And what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to remove the second piece. Your pens should come with something that looks like this. It's looks like a little washer. This is really important, so try not to lose it. And it has two sides, but you want the side that has two little bumps. I don't know if you can see that in the video. And basically that fits onto the pen. And it's probably wet, so it's going to be hard, so I'm going to grab a paper towel. And actually, to remove that other part, you simply grab it by the washer and then hold it here. I'm going to use a paper towel because this pen is wet. And then it eventually will just kind of snap off. Here we go. It's actually important to clean this part because this part kind of prevents all the ink from going everywhere. And if your pen is leaking, the reason it's leaking probably is because this other part is not clean. So you can see I'm unscrewing this, and it's pretty big. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and start my water flowing again because I'm going to have more ink. Now I have this part of the pen, which is kind of like a barrel. And then I have this bottom part of the pen, which is actually the pen tip itself. And I'm just kind of rinsing it off and shaking it a little bit. Okay, so now we're going to move on to where to go from here. So, my camera off here. So with these pieces of pen, at this point, they're probably not as clean as you'd like them to be, especially if you don't clean them after refilling. So I usually just go ahead and I've got some warm soapy water here, just a little bit of soap. You don't have to use the fancy pen cleaners. Soap works just fine. And I'm just going to throw those in, and you can see they're already starting to leak more ink. And I'm just going to throw them in and just let them sit in there for a while. And let them soak for a while. So now we're going to move on to the second part of the video, which is filling the pen. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to go ahead and fill a pen. You can assume that your pen has been cleaned. Also, you want to dry your pen out. So these pieces that I have soaking in here, they're not ready to come out. But assuming they were, you'd want to let them dry out. You can either dry them out just by, you can see there's still a lot of ink in there, kind of dabbing them on paper towels repeatedly, like I'm doing right here, or just letting them sit out for like a half a day until all of the water comes out. But that's really important because otherwise you're going to have watery ink. Okay. So I've got a pen I'm going to fill now. I'm just going to take it apart like I just demonstrated. Taking off the barrel and the cap, taking off this little ink cap. There's technical terms for these probably, but I've since lost my manual. And then also, just to show you how this works again, going ahead and taking apart the actual pen itself. Okay, so first thing I want to do is I want to make sure, as I said before, that this pen is really, really snug with its bottom barrel here. I'm going to use, again, that little tool that I showed you earlier. And I'm just going to go ahead and, kind of twist that as hard as I can. Because if these two pieces aren't snug, you're going to get all of this terrible ink leakage, and it's going to go all over your fingers, and you're not going to be happy. Okay, So I put that aside. That's nice and snug. It's ready to go. There are two kinds of ink that work really well with these pens. They're both made by Rapidiograph. The Black India Ultra Draw I find works in all of the pens. It's really nice. It lasts a long time, and it's pretty cheap, $3 or $4. The white that they have works in the larger pens, but I find it doesn't really work very well in the smaller pens. It's just too thick. You will see, you'll be tempted to use other kinds of inks with these kinds of pens, and my suggestion is to try it, but generally I found that I haven't had a lot of good luck with that, mainly because it's just that the inks they don't seem to be as thin as necessary, and they kind of clog in the pens. So if you want to do like those colored inks, try like a dip pen. Okay, so I've got the well, and I'm just going to go ahead with this and fill it up. Now, one of the things you can notice about the well is that the well has a little line, which you can see right here. You want to fill your ink up to that line and no further. So I'm going to go ahead and stick the little nozzle in there, fill the well a little bit further, and close it up right away because I don't want it spilling all over the place. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and keeping the well this way so it doesn't spill out everywhere, and put the ink into the inkwell onto the pen. And now it's on there pretty securely, but I'm still going to go ahead and screw this on. And then you're making sure everything's secure. Everything seems pretty secure. Going ahead and screwing on the barrel, and I can go ahead and begin to shake it. There are some ways to get your ink flowing that are positive and fine for your pen, and there are other ways to get your ink flowing that will be not so good for your pen. Shaking it without tapping it on the table is fine. Do not mash your pen tip into the table or the counter because this is really kind of sensitive and it could damage it. What you can do, though, if you're impatient like me, is to do this, where you just tap your pen. You probably need to tap it for longer than I'm going to do in my demonstration to get it going. You can see I've already got something coming out. And the other thing, you can see I've got the paper towel a little bit wet here. You can also kind of start to pull the ink out with a wet paper towel. That's not coming out too good yet, though, so I probably need to keep tapping it for a while. Keep tapping it, keep running it over the paper towel. Looks like I had some water left in that. There it goes, it's starting to come. There we go. There we go. And then you'll eventually get a much better ink pen. So that's pretty much how you fill it. Once you have it filled, of course, the nice thing about these pens is that, they last. Most of these ones I have here, they last. You do want to use your pen at least once every 2 weeks. You probably want to store them upright so that the ink continues to flow into them. So hopefully this introduction has been helpful to you. Thanks for watching.